Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. This is the appointed place and the appointed time. We've got to get going on town meeting. No problem, Jack. Hey, you only live the closest here. I mean, you could walk crosswalks and get here quicker. They wouldn't? Okay. Okay, welcome everyone. First thing, let's get up and remove our hats and say a quick pledge of allegiance to the flag of our country. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, we're going to start. Legal voters of the Winhall School District are hereby notified and warned to meet at the Winhall Community Center on Tuesday, March 1st, 2016 at 10 a.m. to transact the following business. Absentee voting will be permitted. That's pretty much over now for the purpose of Australian ballots. Polls will be open from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. today. The polls are now open.
Thank you.
To elect one school director for a 3-year term to be voted by Australian ballot. And that is by Australian ballot. And Article 2 is to elect a moderator for the ensuing year to be voted by Australian ballot. So those polls are open now. I'd like excuse me? Louder? Okay, I'm sorry, I thought. I would like to ask for permission to have, if there are outside people here, like our representative or Dr. Fox, or other people who are relative to what we're talking about, to be able to speak in front of this meeting. Is there anyone against that? Okay, then I guess I'm not even going to ask for a motion because nobody objected. I guess we'll move right on to the first part here. Article 3. Shall the voters authorize the school board to borrow money by issuance of notes not in excess of anticipated revenue for the fiscal year July 1, 2016 through June 30th, 2017? And I'll remind you, anyone who wants to make a motion, please stand up and state your name so that Lucia can hear it. And anyone that's seconding it, can stand up and state your name for the record, please. Do we have a motion on Article 3?
Rob Treat.
Rob Treat. Rob Treat made the motion. Do we have a second?
Paola Di Vittetto, I second the motion.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that.
Paola Di Vittetto, I second the motion.
Can you state your name, clear?
Paola Di Vittetto.
Got it? Okay. So we have a motion made and seconded. Is there any discussion on Article 3? Or any questions? Article 3, I'm sorry, I thought this thing was working. All right, Article 3 is what we're voting on. Shall the voters authorize the school board to borrow money by issuing of notes not in excess of anticipated revenue for the fiscal year July 1, 16 through June 30th, 17? And can I also make one other reminder to either turn your cell phones off or put them on silent, please? And the Winhall Police and Rescue Department, with a community partners group, is seeking a grant to get dental care for those who can't afford it. And they're doing a survey outside the door. I think Maura is in charge of it. It's just you don't have to sign your name. She's just looking for input on it. So if anybody's interested in that, check with Maura out by the door. Is that better?
Yep.
Okay, any discussion on Article 3 or questions? If there's no discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Article 3 passed.
The board would like to explain the difference between what we have here and what is in the town report.
When do you want to do that? Now? Okay, the school board would like to try to explain the difference between what's for real and what's in the town report, I guess. Why don't you come up here, Marty, and speak to the microphone? I guess they're having a hard time hearing me too, so go ahead.
Good morning. The paper you have in front of you is the most recent iteration of what our town budget and proposed, or most recent proposed tax rate is. There are some new words on here and some new pieces of information that I'd like to point out. In the town report,
Yeah, I'm Marty. Where do we find that paper?
it's in the back.
Over on the desk.
Over on the desk, as you walk in, there's enough copies for everyone.
Put a lot of seats right up here, lady. Sit right up front. Lady, you sit up front.
Most, if not all, of these changes are a result of Act 46, passed by the state's infinite wisdom. And the new words that you'll see are what's called property yield. Property yield is the new term for what used to be called base amount, and that is the amount of money that is raised per pupil if the base rate was $1. If you raise, for every dollar that is raised by tax, that's the amount of money that the education fund has for every dollar raised. There used to be something called base amount, and that was set each year by the state legislature. That no longer exists. It is now permanently set at $1. So you won't see that in the report anymore. In the town report, you'll see every year there has to be a three-year report of what our expenditures have been. That number that you'll see in the three-year report for the anticipated for FY17 is not the same as what you see on this paper. And the reason why is the state legislature and the Agency of Education, through various reinterpretations of the law and various recalculations of the anticipated income coming into the education fund, have changed the property yield and have changed what was called the allowable growth rate 4 times. So the numbers keep on changing, and this is the most recent number. We are basing our newest calculation of the proposed tax rate on a proposed property yield of $9,701. We started with the state's original calculation of $9,955. Now the state is saying the property yield will be $9,701. So this is our most recent calculation, and we hope that that number will be the worst possible scenario. So we wanted to explain to you why the number you see here is different than the number in the three-year report, in the town report, and the information that was given in the school board's letter to you. This is the most recent information, and this is the information we are basing our tax rate on. The budget has not changed, just the proposed tax rate. And this may change again. Thank you. Is there any questions before I step away?
There's a whole bunch more seats up front here, folks. When you come late, you got to sit up front.
You must have been real late.
Not late enough. Okay, so Marty explained that, went right over my head, most of it. Article 4, shall the voters approve payment of the announced tuition rate of Burton Academy in amount of $16,250 for the 2016-2017 school year for resident pupils in grades 9 through 12 who attend Burton Academy? May I have a motion, please, on Article 4? Got to stand up and state your name for Lucia, not for me.
Robert Epps.
And we need a second.
Debbie Perez.
We have a motion made and seconded. Is there any discussion on Article 4? Wow, you guys aren't discussing much today. All in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Article 5. Shall the voters approve payment of the tuition rate of $15,000 for the 2016-2017 school year for resident pupils in grades 7 and 8 who attend the Mountain School at Win Hall or the Maple Street School? May I have a motion on Article 5?
Rob Treat.
Rob Treat made the motion. Who seconded it? Anyone second it?
Estelle Schwartz.
Thank you. Motion is made and seconded on Article 5. Is there any discussion? Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Article 6. Shall the voters approve payment of the tuition rate of $14,750 for the 2016-2017 school year for resident pupils in grade K through 6 who attend the Mountain School at Win Hall or the Maple Street School? Okay, K through 6, 7, I apologize. I didn't read it real well. Okay, so Article 6. Shall the voters approve payment of the tuition rate of $14,750 for the 2016-2017 school year for resident pupils in grades K through 6 who attend the Mountain School or at Win Hall or the Maple Street School? May I have a motion, please?
I'd like to make a motion to amend that from 14,750 to 15,000.
All right, I think we have to have a motion on the article first, then we'll ask for an amendment. Is that correct, Scott?
Yeah, you have to have a motion.
We have to get a motion on this, then you can try to amend it at that point. Okay, Bob? Sorry about that.
Make the motion
You will make the motion at this point?
so we can discuss it.
So we can start, we can't even start until we get a motion, then we can entertain discussion and amendments, etc. But we have to start with this article first. You're going to make the motion? Carol Alderman? Okay. Motion made by Carol Alderman. Do we have a second? Mr. McMahon.
Got it.
Okay. The motion's made and seconded for Article 6. Is there any discussion?
I'd like to propose that the tuition be raised to the same level as the 7 and 8 for the K through 6. It would be a $250 increase from $14.75 to $15.
So you're making that as an amendment?
Yes.
Okay, we have an amendment being proposed to raise the level to $15,000 for Article 6. Is there a second?
Second. Debbie.
Okay, Debbie Brett seconded. Sorry, guys. Okay, so the amendment has been seconded. Is there any discussion on the amendment?
Can I just,
Sure. This is
Jackie Wilson, assistant.
Jackie Wilson, Assistant Superintendent of Bennington, Rutland. I can't keep track. I always used to be Wyndham. So. Okay. Go ahead. Why don't you come up here, because they
Okay.
seem to have a problem.
Great, thanks. I have my old principal voice, so I'll probably be all right with that. I just want to, just eyes wide open for all folks, just understand that your community is already in the penalty because you've exceeded your allowable growth rate for your education spending per student. So anything you approve above the amount that the board has presented in this budget will increase your penalty and impact your tax rate. So I just wanted you to be aware of that, that's what that decision will bring you.
No, please do.
Go ahead. Would you stand up, please, so that...
Hi, could you tell me and explain the exact amount of penalty and the implication on the tax rate?
Sure, Marty, can you please? Marty's got his spreadsheet here, so we'll run that.
Can't hear you.
Marty has a spreadsheet here, so we'll run that for you. Just give us a second.
Currently, we are $114 per pupil in the penalty. This is not as a result of excessive spending by your school board. It's a result of Act 46. Act 46 put a cap on the allowable spending growth by every school district. And our allowable spending growth was approximately 2% more than last year's spending, total, no matter what it was spent on. And that, as a result, put us in a penalty situation of $114 per student. This would increase our penalty to $148 per student and would increase the tax rate by approximately 2 cents per 100.
Okay.
I would ask why we would do this. Could somebody tell me why? Why we should increase it? I mean, if this is what the school board has suggested to us.
Okay, we've had the question answered, why would we do this? So if someone wants to talk to that, but you got to talk to me, you can't talk to each other, please.
Okay.
Just
I can
stand.
speak to that. I'm Patricia Stanley. I'm the head of the mountain school at Wing Hall.
Speak up.
I'll speak up as loud as I can.
Or come up here if you want.
No, I'm good. I have a pretty booming voice when I want to. First of all, I just want to say thank you to the school board. I know they work very hard behind the scenes to crunch a lot of numbers to support all of our kids in this town. I really appreciate all the work that they do. We proposed a very small raise in tuition for K through 6 to come level with 7 and 8 at 15 for all the kids. The effort to make little to no change this year was to try to work well and accommodate due to Act 46. We're doing the very best we can as well to keep costs down. Stratton approves the $15,000 for all K through 8. We need to be in line with them since both Winhall and Stratton are sending towns. We feel that this is a minuscule increase from one year to the next. We're basically asking, just for grades K through 6 to make that bump up. We need to make that change for our budget.
Thank you. Is there any other input? Bob?
Marty, can you give us an example of what, like $100,000, what that 2 cent increase would be?
It would be
If you folks want to step in from the door, we got other people trying to get in. You got to come on. We got more chairs up here. Come on.
2 cents on the tax rate is $20 for every $100,000 of assessment. So if your house is assessed at $300,000, it would increase your tax by $60 a year.
Thank you.
As I understand it, this penalty thing is going to be rescinded next year. Is that correct?
Well, that's what the current iteration of Act 46 is.
So why don't we wait till next year rather than take an added tax burden because they're already in the penalty situation this year?
But there will always be a penalty situation, just that rather than having an allowable growth rate, there will be a different kind of cap. It'll be I think the latest question or the latest interpretation is it will be 119% of the state's average spending. So, it used to be 125%. Next year, I believe it'll be either 119% or 121%. So there always will be some penalty threshold. It will be higher and easier and more difficult to meet than this 2%. But there always will be a penalty threshold.
Okay. Is there any other input?
I just want to know why there's a penalty if we have no increase in the K through pre-K through 8.
You asked why there is a penalty if you have no increase.
We have no increase in K through 8. Why is there a penalty?
Sure.
The penalty is based on, you have an allowable growth percentage that you could increase the amount your ed spending from last year to this year. And every single school district in the state, that was calculated. If you exceed that, you have to pay a penalty. So this was part of Act 46. So Act 46 deals with two things. One is taking a look at governance. How are we going to shift our governance structure to accomplish some of the goals of Act 46? The other part of Act 46 was some immediate cost containment. So this was one of the measures put in place. So it was called an allowable growth index that allowed every school to grow by a certain percentage. And if you exceed that, then you have to pay a higher amount. The reason you're exceeding that, if I compared that to some other of our districts in our SU, is because you're what you are spending to educate your children is higher than what other communities are paying. So you're already at a higher, the index that you could grow was smaller than some of the schools that were paying less the previous year. So you're just bumped right into that penalty. It's pretty hard for you to avoid that because you're right at the top of that spending.
Additionally, we're budgeting for 7 more students this year than we budgeted for last year. So even if you figure that even at the state average, which is for secondary students $14,300, seven students times 14,000 is $98,000. Now, $98,000 is at $12,000 on the tax rate, $12,000 equaling a penny on the tax rate. That's already 8 cents.
Yeah, so you've had your student numbers have increased. You've had increased enrollment. So that's also bumping you up. You've had a decrease in sped costs, which has helped you a lot this year because we've centralized special education. So you've seen a decrease in those expenses if you look at the budget. But your increased enrollment and just where you were in your cost per pupil is why you're where you are right now. Yeah, Trish? Sure.
So just to clarify that the rate that you stated in the warning shows absolutely no increase from last year to this year.
That's correct.
And our point is that we're only asking for a minuscule bump up for grades K through 6. 7 and 8 are staying the same. We didn't ask for any more. So you mentioned, I know Burn Burton went up, they requested more. You know, it's simply again, we worked really hard to try not to bump up very much at all, if at all. 7 and 8 is staying exactly the same. So
Scott, you got something to say?
Thank you.
I have something to say. This budget, like every year that we present to you people, is just our recommendation. It is up to you to vote on what you want. If you're okay with increasing your tax rates, the people in this room, then by all means, vote it up. If you're not, vote it down. This is not something that we present to you and hold it in lockstep. It's not. It is a best guess at what our future is going to be. So it's really not us coming to you and saying, you know, you gotta vote this. No, this is what we've done to be fiduciary responsible to the school district and try to meet a compromise in between of where we are. We will always be in the penalty threshold now. That's the cost of choice. If we embrace that, then we're gonna pay more. If we don't, then we're not. It's that simple. It really has nothing to do with the choices the school board makes. The school board comes up with a budget that we feel is our best compromise to all situations. It's up to you to decide whether that fits your agenda or not. And then you either vote yes or you vote no. That's the simple matter of it.
Any other discussion? Bob? The second Bob, the other Bob. There, Bob, folks.
I fully support the schools. I mean, you know, I'd like to give you guys everything you want. I really would because, I mean, you know, I got a couple of grandsons and I want them to be educated too. But somewhere along the line, I think I sort of agree with what Ms. Wilson was saying, or somebody was saying that, or Scott was saying that you got to pay for school choice. I mean, you know, it's great. I think it's wonderful that you guys all have a chance to send your kids wherever you want. I mean, you can go out there and shop, and I think school choice is great. And this is a minuscule amount, but every year it's a minuscule amount. I mean, every year it's $250 or $350 like Burn Burton. I mean, I guess with Burn Burton we don't have any choice, but we just can't keep doing this year after year. I mean, it's great if you know, I don't think the economy is great this year. I mean, we've got, a lot of us have had horrible winters. I mean, you know, just, okay, well, it's $60 or $100 more on the tax rate. Well, rather than taxing everybody, I really feel that you parents need to step up and say, hey, you know what? I'll pick up the extra $250 because I love sending my kids and having that school choice.
Thank you, Bob. Any?
So, Marty, can I talk to Marty on this?
Yeah.
So it looks like there's 69 kids that we're talking about, is that correct? It looks like this affects about 69 children.
No, for Maple Street and...
All kids together on page 40.
No, there are 49 students, K-6, who attend Maple Street and Mountain School, K through 6.
So it's 49 kids.
49 kids.
Okay, so it's $15,000, roughly. 12,000. So what's the $12,000 going to do to affect the community?
I'm trying to calculate it by hand because the worksheet that was given to me is outdated. So I'm actually physically doing it by hand right now.
Well, my suggestion is that $12,000 to educate 40 kids is a pretty good investment, would be my guess. I kind of disagree with what Bob says. This is our future. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Bob Treats first, and you're next. Go ahead, Bob.
I think that Mr. Stanley's done sounds like a good job in trying to keep increases down. That overall, my calculations are correct. That's less than a 1.5%, or maybe right around a 1.5% increase to invest. You know, everything else is going up. I don't think we can ask we want to skimp on our education and our kids' future. That, I think, should be the last place that we cut back. That's going to affect not just those kids, it's going to affect our towns, it's going to affect our country. If we start skimping on education, I think that's a really big mistake.
Thanks, Bob.
I've done the calculations.
Just a second. All right.
I was simply going to say that I think that keeping everything in line with Stratton will probably hold real estate values a bit higher and bring your appraisals of your houses a bit higher. And that will benefit everybody, not just the parents of those students who are attending Mountain School and Maple Street. And so the more we support school choice as a town, the more the real estate values go up, and that affects everybody's pocketbook, not just the parents.
Marty, you had some input from the conversation
I've
with...
done the calculations by hand since the worksheet that was provided to me was outdated. It was based on the last iteration of the tax rate. And it would increase, our penalty per student would increase from $1.14 to $114 per student to $353 per student. And our tax rate would increase from $1.75.9 to $1.78.4, or 2.5 cents a student. 2.5 cents a hundred, I'm sorry. 2.5 cents a hundred.
I just want to make sure I understand that the increase is not required for the education. It is to put us in line with Stratton, is that correct? So the board today so much to educate, that's $250 less than what Stratton has put in their budget. So this increase is so we're equal to Stratton, and that's what it is.
No. We don't go that way.
Well, I guess I don't understand, because you said you worked really hard to get a good budget to take care of the needs of these students. Because then you have a lot of data, income, et cetera, et cetera. And you came up with a budget that's in this. And then I found out that Stratton was going to have a $15,000. So in order for us to be in the district, we have to bring ours up to Stratton. And it's not because of me, or when I missed something along the way.
Okay, Scott, you want to address that?
Oh, I'll give it a shot. Every school district votes on its own. Stratton votes its own tuition rates, we vote our own tuition rates, and so on and so forth. This moving up 15 grand has nothing to do with Stratton at all. It was just brought up that, well, we be like Stratton, but we operate totally independent of whatever Stratton does. Stratton can do whatever they would like. This board does what it feels is the best. The raising up of the 15 actually was off the floor, more to the point that that is what the mountains, what Rob would like to see the tuition rate at. It has nothing to do with Stratton. Stratton's just a ski hill. That's all that is. We don't align with them in anything.
Okay, the motion started, sorry, I'll be right with you. I'll be right with both of you.
Okay.
The motion started at $14,750. Then there was an amendment to raise it to $15,000. So the school board recommended $14,750. Then there was an amendment made to raise it to $15,000. That's where the discussion is now. We've got a couple more people who have raised their hand, and then we'll talk about it a little bit more and decide what to do here. Go ahead, Betsy.
My question is, was the Mountain School asking for tuition of $15,000 to both towns initially for the children from K through 6, and the school board decided to go for $14,750, and if we don't vote it in and we give the school $14,750, will the parents whose kids want to go to Mountain School have to cough up the $250 to have their kids go there, or does the school?
Okay, I think I understand your question. The school board set a recommendation of $14,750, and how much is the Mountain School asking for tuition
Mountain
for?
School had asked for $15,000. That's the first thing. We recommended $14,750 to kind of come somewhere with a compromise. I don't know what Stratton asked. I don't ask Stratton. I'm not part of Stratton's board. So we don't operate, again, we operate independent of Stratton School Board. They do what they want to do. They have less students, we have more students. It is a little easier for them, but I don't confer with their chair to figure out what they're doing. That's not in the best interest of my voters. So, that being said, we've already answered the question 4 times back about what happens if this number of $14,750 gets passed. Bob answered it when he stood up that, yes, if you don't go to 15 grand, then the parents would be responsible for the gap between $14,750 and $15 grand.
And I guess my question was not having anything to do with what Stratton did, but was the Mountain School asked for $15,000.
I said that.
And
The Mountain School asked for $15,000, and this, we played with the numbers. You know, maybe there's one part of the budget that you don't understand. I mean, we cut out our administrative assistant. That position is gone. We cut back on anything we could possibly cut back, and we still could not get under that threshold cap, because our intentions were to cut, if we could cut everything out of there that we could, that was just extra, we could certainly give what we wanted. We cut everything possible out of our budget, and we still couldn't get under that threshold. Now, you all know the Byrne-Burton saga. Maybe you don't. But seeing as how this is my last year, I'm going to stand up here. I'm going to tell you about Byrne-Burton. When we were in trouble, and we went to Byrne-Burton and we asked them if it was possible for us to give something less than their asked tuition rate. We were informed that if that is what we did, the town of Win Hall would no longer be considered a sending town. So the parents would have to make up the difference, plus an extra $1,000. The extra $1,000 being, we were no longer a sending town. Nothing to do with educating your kid there, just we were no longer a sending town. That is the whole reason why you always see Burton listed at its advertised tuition rate. Because if we offer them anything less, they're going to whack the parents an extra $1,000 just because we're not a spending town. So in that instance, we are trying to look out the best we can for
Just a minute,
the
Tim, I got a
parents
couple other
of the
people.
high school kids that go to Burton. That's why BDA has always been there at its full rate. Now, they'll tell you that's not so, but I have an email.
Okay, I got Cindy, and then I got one right beside you. You raised your hand, and then, no, Cindy, you wanted to say something? Or no, Connie, just a second, Connie.
Connie was first.
Okay, go ahead, Connie. You're on.
I just would like to say, Connie Guttra, as a former teacher and being involved with this school many times, I think it is wonderful what these educators do here. And I am willing to support it 100%. And I don't think the parents should have to pay $250 extra if they want to send a child to school.
Okay, thanks, Connie.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Samuelson, and I want to echo those comments. I know Manchester has been in the newspaper a lot. They're also in a penalty. They've actually been hit with far more dire consequences where they've had to cut programs, what we call the specials. They've had to fire or eliminate administrative positions. And I feel so grateful to live in this town where we have such wonderful options. Our kids go to schools that are doing amazing things. Mountain School, Maple Street, the arts are flourishing, the teachers are awesome. There's so many different options available to our kids, and I really appreciate the support that we've had. But I think as a town, we can feel really, really good about what we are providing to our children. Thank you.
Thank you. Cindy?
I think it's almost 20 years now since we voted to close our public school because we were dissatisfied with the level of education in our town. And it was a long, hard fight, but I think we've won. We have changed the quality of education in this town for a lot of kids, and not just ones who go to the mountain school. And I think we're quibbling about nickels and dimes, and we're talking about our kids' education. And if we can find the ways to pay for Burton every year without blinking an eye, without paying the extra $1,000, if the mountain school is asking for an extra $250, that means they really need it. These guys work incredibly hard to educate our kids on a shoestring. And I know it has been a good winter, the economy isn't great, but I am certainly willing to do my part and pay that extra tax rate to give those kids, to give the school the extra $250. And to ask the parents to come up with that money goes against what we voted, almost 20 years ago. We went with choice. As a town, we said we would always pay full tuition. We would guarantee education for every kid in town. And, we're going to have to pay an extra $250 here, $1,000 to Burton. That's not kind of going against what we all agreed to pay as a town at that time.
Thank you, Cindy. So I had a bunch of heads shaking during that, said we didn't guarantee to pay 100%. You go by it. Thank you. Bill?
Yeah, so everyone keeps saying the mountain school, but this article is mountain school in Maple Street. Maple Street has about twice as many as the mountain school. Could you tell me what Maple Street asked for?
Bill's asking what Maple Street asked for.
Yeah, I'm the head of Maple Street School. It's Fran Bissell. It is a privilege and honor to educate the children at Wynn Hall. Trish and I are great colleagues. We are a little different in that the mountain school doesn't charge anything for kids to go. I have a stratified rate that I do charge.
What did you ask the school board for?
I didn't ask the school board for anything. I asked the
So
school
we
board.
send for nothing?
Well, no, I asked the school board to be treated as the mountain
okay.
school because we are such good colleagues and we truly educate kids and we want them to have choice. So in many ways, we're partners with the Mountain School. But I didn't ask for something different or something lower or something higher, just to be treated like the Mountain School.
So your tuition rate is significantly higher, but the parents make up the difference?
Correct, and we have financial aid and I fundraise to be able to help families who can't afford it. But I'm going to say not significantly higher, it's just a slightly bit higher. Yep.
But I mean, this 250, so you don't need theory, I mean, of course it's useful.
Okay,
You don't need the 250 that we're talking about for Maple Street.
Okay, did she answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
But we are, as parents, facing a $350 increase this year for next year's rate. So if this only applies to the Mountain School, then Maple Street parents will be left alone coming up with $350 per child as an increase. K through, I know for my couple of my grades, but it might be different grade to grade. It's stratified.
I don't think that this is for kids that attend both Mountain School or Maple Street School at this time. We don't know what's going to happen next year. We have no idea. But this article is for K through 6 who attend Mountain School at Wynn Hall or Maple Street School.
Right, because everyone was referencing Mountain School only, and
Correct.
twice as many kids go to Maple Street that don't seem to be asking for the money.
I just stood up. I just stood up right before you.
The school did
Just a minute. I guess I got to recognize the wife.
Barbara Coleman, and I, like Cindy, have been through this a long time. I have, since Bill has just brought up that there's twice as many children going to Maple Street School as there are to Wynn Hall. What I have heard so far is that if we don't go with the extra 250, the parents here in the 1/3 number of students will have to pull up that extra 250. What then do those other 2/3 of students going to Maple Street School parents have to pull up to keep their kids in that school? 250 plus is what I'm thinking. I'm waiting to hear the difference.
Okay, the question
We're not
was-
just talking the children here, the parents and the families of the kids in the Mountain School at Wynn Hall. If it's twice as many, if I'm not mistaken, that means 1/3 come here and 2/3 go to Maple Street. So that's 250 out of the pockets of the parents whose 1/3 students go here. What happens to the students' families who go to Maple Street if we don't go in the extra 250?
Okay, does anyone want to address that? Anybody on the school board?
The tuition at Maple Street is about $15,500 for kindergarten, and it goes all the way up to $17,900 for 7th and 8th grade, and so it's different at different grade levels. It's structured a little differently. The reality is the reason the tuition's going up, and I'm sure this is true here, is we got hit by the 7% increase of health care for our employees. I mean, so it's not that you're trying to deliver the most outstanding education to kids, and it's not you trying to control costs, but everything else is going up around you. It's very, very difficult to do. And so, akin to what Marty's saying, you've had a moving target, 4 different budgets. I think this year more than ever, it's been very difficult to run a school with moving targets of budgets. It costs probably $18,000 to truly educate a kid at Maple Street, and through grants, through scholarship, through all sorts of things, we try our best to get the best possible education to kids. And I know that Trish works extremely hard through grants and pieces like that too. So something as simple as a $250 extra makes a huge difference in a budget like ours, because it enables us to be able to securely give kids things and not hope for the best should we get this grant or something like that. It's very tenuous. It would make a huge difference at Maple Street and my colleague Trish, I'm sure, here at Mountain School to do that. I just think we want to be able to equitably serve the students here as best we can. And so we just want to equitably be treated as the collegial schools that we are. And I think, and I appreciate Trish's leadership on that. So thank you.
You had your hand, no? Okay.
I just had a question. If we go with the old one, 14,000, the parents will pay 250 extra. If we bump up the amount, we all pay $350?
No. You're not, if Jackie and I ended up doing the calculations all over again, you'll end up paying probably another penny and a half.
Oh,
or so
okay, I
on the
thought you
tax
had
rate.
said 300
No, that's the
something
penalty.
penalty.
No, that's the penalty that you use in calculating the budget tax rate.
okay,
You'll
my
probably end up
misunderstanding.
costing about a penny and a half, penny and 3/4 on the tax rate.
Which is $15.
$15 per 100,000, $17 per 100,000. And somebody had asked before, comparing Stratton and Whitehall. Stratton, I mean, you can't compare what each district pays. I mean, every district does makes its own decisions as to what it feels is appropriate for itself. And I would not dare to compare.
You too. Bobby?
Were those calculations made on both schools, or was it only on the Winhall school?
No, it's based on the article as is written, which is for both schools.
It was for both of them.
I move that we vote on this, we're just spinning our wheels.
Second.
All right, we have so you're moving the question? We have a motion to move the question. We have a second on it.
Who was the motion to move?
Removing the amendment.
Move the amended motion was who?
Liz Owens. And Bob O seconded. We have a motion to move the question. Thank you, Scott. We have a motion to move the amendment. All in favor of moving the amendment, say aye. Aye. Those opposed?
No.
Okay, I would say that the ayes have it. We're going to now vote on the amendment. Shall the voters approve payment of the tuition rate of $15,000 for the 2016-2017 school year for resident pupils in grade K through 6 who attend the Mountain School at Winhall or Maple Street School? We have a motion made and seconded to pay that. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed?
No.
It appears to me that the ayes have it. Okay? Thank you for your input. We don't have to do anything with the motion, right, Scott? That took care of it?
Nope, that's it.
Okay, all right. Article 7. Okay, just a second. We're trying to get through this. Shall the voters of the school district approve the school board to expend $3,118,094, which is the amount the school board has determined to be necessary for the ensuing fiscal year? It is estimated that this proposed budget, if approved, will result in education spending of $16,429 per equalized student. This projected spending per equalized student is 4.4% higher than spending for the current year. May I have a motion?
We have to amend that motion.
Hold it.
We need to amend the motion to say, spend.
Okay, can we do that without getting a thing on this thing? I mean, you can't.
Oh, that's right, you gotta move on.
I think we got to start with this, Marty. I know you want to amend it. You can in just a minute. I think we got to stay focused here. Okay, Article 7. You heard the motion. Do we have a motion?
Motion, Larry.
Larry Waller made the motion.
I'll second it, Stuart.
And second for Tim Adams. Okay. The motion made and seconded. Now do we have some discussion?
Yes, we need to amend, we amend the motion to read, to expend $3,130,334. That represents the increase of tuition that was voted on in Article 6.
Okay, so.
$334. $344, I'm sorry.
Can you give that number?
Just.
$3,130,344.
Okay, so Marty is saying with the change we just made in the last vote, he is making a motion that we amend the budget to now to expend $3,130,344.
That's... We've got another number you need to recalculate. You have to recalculate the other.
Yeah, we're going to have to recalculate the per pupil cost.
So do we need that for this, or what do you want to do?
No, it's just it's impacting the tax rate.
It's impacting tax rate. Okay, so we have an amendment. We have a second by Bob Oakes. Do we have any discussion on the amendment?
I move the question.
Bob has moved the question. Any second?
Second.
Larry Wallner, second. All in favor of moving the question, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Okay, we're going to move the question. Shall the voters of the school district approve the school board to expend $3,130,344, which is the amount the school board has determined to be necessary for the ensuing fiscal year? The rest of it is incorrect because we don't know exactly what that figure is. That's rather irrelevant at this point. So, is there any more discussion? We can't have any more discussion. Moved it already. Okay, all in favor of Article 7 at a figure of $3,130,344, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? The ayes have it. Article 7 passes. Article 8, to transit any other business which may legally come before the meeting. Just a second. Oh, okay, you got it. That's where I was heading.
If you, for those of you who have already voted, you may have noticed on the ballot, for those of you who have not voted, you will note on the ballot that Scott Bushy is no longer running for a school director. So the school board would like to take this opportunity, along with the community, to thank Scott for his 16 years of work and effort and time and commitment to the school board, as a director, and to the community for all of his time, effort, and commitment to our community, to our schools, to our school district, and to the children of Win Hall. Scott, would you come up? And we would like, as a representative of the community, to present Scott with this plaque that says, "Presented to Scott Bushy, given in recognition of 16 years of dedicated service as a member of the Win Hall School Board from 2000 to 2016, from the Board of School Directors of the Win Hall School District and the Bennington-Rutland Supervisory Union." Scott, on behalf of all of us, thank you.
I'd like to say that I'm going to miss most of this, but I'm really not. But the one thing I will miss is actually talking with parents, talking with people, and working with the people I've worked with over 16 years. That's the part that I'll miss. And it has been an honor to serve this community, both through the good and the bad, and I thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Marty, do we want to talk about this other situation to inform people? Because there's going to be another town meeting in a month about the school building here. And I think we ought to bring it up because we have more people here than we normally have at a special meeting. So do you want me to open the subject or? Okay. Act 46. Everybody? No? No? This is just for information purposes. We can't vote on anything. Thank you. Trying to keep me straight. Sounds like home.
Yes, dear.
I'm sorry?
Can we give a brief explanation of what it says in terms of school district consolidation?
You can if you want, or I think I got it. All right. Act 46 is a new act that the state puts in. Every time we do something, they throw another act in front of it trying to stumble you up. So if we own this building, it's going to become partially some other schools that are going to be in the same district. And we have nothing to say about it. The school district and the select board have gotten together, and with legal counsel, we voted the best way to handle this is for the school district to sell the school to the town. and then we take care of it from there. If it's in the school district's name, it will become partly of possibly Stratton School District and possibly Sandgate. Is that correct? Is that the short end of it? Now you can come up and explain it. I've at least got people's interest piqued here.
One of the major components of Act 46 that was passed this past legislative session is a requirement for consolidation of school districts throughout the state of Vermont. The first part is a voluntary consolidation of school districts, and if school districts do not consolidate in one of two ways, then the state will take it upon itself to consolidate school districts in 2019. And school districts have two different options. Either they can all join together in one giant school district called the supervisory district, and the way school districts consolidate is that... You all right, Charlie? That school districts must consolidate with what's called like school districts. So school districts can only join together with other school districts that are just like them. Or they must change to become school districts that are like each other. So Winhall, which is a K-12 non-operating district with full choice for its students, had two options. Either we would look for other school districts that were K-12 non-operating with full choice, or end up being required to, opting to, being forced to merge with school districts that were partial choice. So, since we know that this community wants K-12 full choice, we went looking for other districts with K-12 full choice with which to merge. Stratton, as our next door neighbor, is a K-12 non-operating full choice district. Right below the southern border of the BRSU, the Bennington Rutland Supervisory District, is the Battenkill Valley Supervisory Union, which is made up of only two school districts, Arlington and Sandgate. Sandgate is a K-12 non-operating full choice district. The state has been trying to collapse the Battenkill Valley Supervisory Union for several years because it's too small. The new law requires that any supervisory union or supervisory district must have at least 1,150 students. Battenkill Valley has about 400. They are going to have to be collapsed. Sandgate is going to have to go someplace. So it made sense for Winhall, Stratton, and Sandgate to begin discussing merging themselves into one larger K-12 non-operating full choice district in order to protect themselves, each of us together, protect ourselves against being placed somewhere in 2019 where we couldn't be sure where we'd be and what our choice options would be. And these other districts would end up moving to the BRSU, where we are, which seems to be the best place for all of us, and we would be one larger K-12 non-operating full choice district. The issue with merging is that any of these districts that merge together, all of their assets and all their liabilities end up belonging to this new district. So the school board owns this building. If we merged while owning this building would then become the property of the new district. We really didn't want to do that. The Mountain School would like to buy this building. The school board is not in a position to sell the building to the Mountain School and hold a mortgage. So we would like to sell the building to the town, and then the town would pay the school board for the building over a period of years, because we would not like to see the town have to take out a bond, to buy the building. The town would then negotiate with the Mountain School to sell the building to them. They would hold the mortgage, the town would hold the mortgage, and it would be revenue coming into the town, revenue going out from the town. The town is already have revenue going out because they lease the building to to the mountain school, and they pay us a lease already. So it really is, the same kind of arrangement, because the mountain school already leases it, from the town as a sublease. So this way, the money that the town would pay the new district would go into the revenue stream of the new district to reduce the tax rate of the new district. It would not be as much as it reduces the tax rate currently, but it would be more than if we sold the building to the town for $1. Because if we sold the building to the town for $1, the $80,000 that the town would be paying the school district would go back into the revenue stream of the town. It would only be worth a penny on the tax rate, the municipal tax rate. But if that money went to this new district, it probably would reduce the tax rate by 3 cents or 4 cents. So it really is in our best interest to do it the way I proposed, or I suggested, where we would sell it to the town would entertain selling it to the mountain school, the revenue stream would go into the new district, and it would save the taxpayers of Whitehall maybe 3 or 4 cents rather than 1 cent. So that is the proposal. And it will eventually come to the voters of Whitehall, because the school district can't sell the building without the voters' approval. So once this whole thing gets discussed, we will come to you with a complete package of what it looks like, what the conditions are, what the amount of money is, what the terms are, and we will have a town meeting and we will discuss it. Can I answer any questions for you now?
Does anyone else have any questions of the school board? That was just to give you a brief rundown of what's coming down the pike. And, it's not the same situation as we were in before, where the town would own it and we would be negotiating with the school board, which we've already done some negotiations at this point, but nothing is binding yet. So, is there any other business to come before the school board? Any other recommendations, comments? Before we switch, we've got a guy here who is probably on a really tight schedule, and I've still got the authority. Oliver, would you like to come out and speak real quick?
Absolutely, thank you.
We just got done voting about school rates. I think you...
I might get a question or two? Yeah, excellent. First, I just got to get a picture of this crowd. This is a great turnout. How many? You guys all need a wave. Can you guys wave? Excellent, thanks.
Selfie or code?
No. All right, well, good morning, everyone. Great to see so many people out for town meeting day. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Oliver Olson. I'm your representative up in Montpelier. I represent the towns of Jamaica, Londonderry, Stratton, Weston, and Whitehall. So this is the 4th town meeting I've been to today. So it's actually been a pretty efficient day. So so a couple of things. One is, Beth, where are you at? Beth, can you hear me?
I'm sorry, what?
A question for you
Yeah.
before I start. So I have the Bill Doyle town meeting poll surveys.
Yes.
Are you okay for those to be distributed here?
Yes, I can put them out in the front entry.
Wonderful, thank you, I appreciate that. I can bring them back to you, don't worry.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank
You look like you're busy. Just a little bit.
I was distracted over it.
At least you weren't driving. So anyway, I just a few remarks. Share an update on what's going on up at Montpelier, and then I'll take some questions. So I think from my perspective, one of the greatest challenges facing the state of Vermont and how it impacts our state in many ways is the issue of our changing demographic profile. It's something that keeps me up at night. It's something that really focuses my attention in terms of my legislative priorities. And basically, it boils down to this: we have the second oldest population in the state, one of the lowest birth rates in the country, and we see a manifestation of that in everything from declining tax base, declining enrollment in our school system. So to give you a couple of examples, in the last 7 years, we've seen a net loss of 10,000 taxpayers under age 65 in Vermont. Pretty significant trend. Related to that, over the past 10 years or so, we've seen a loss of about 10,000 students from our education system. About 10 years ago, we had 100,000 students in the system. Today, we have less than 90,000. And this is a trend that we've seen for going on now 20 years. So these two things together create a number of challenges. We're seeing increasing demands on our human services system. We're going to see even more demands on our human services system over the next 10 to 20 years. We continue to see rising costs in our education system. We have a system that was designed for many more students than we have today. And with that, we're now faced with some really difficult decisions. So the two big things that I've been very focused on, one is education, and one is economic development. So hopefully many of you had an opportunity to attend one of the forums on Act 46 that I put on. Act 46 is a piece of legislation that is probably not loved by anyone. Many people are probably ambiguous about it. Many people have a strong dislike for it. But this is a piece of legislation. As a lawmaker, it would have been very easy for me to vote against. But given the challenges we're facing as a state, I feel and felt at the time and continue to feel that we have an obligation to step up and address the challenges that we have head on, and we can't just kick the can down the road and pretend that we don't have these challenges. So Act 46, I won't go through this in detail. I'm happy to answer any questions afterwards, but essentially the objective of Act 46 is to right-size our education system for the population of students that we have today and that we foresee in the near to medium-term future. And with the goal of ensuring that we're providing and we can continue to provide a high-quality education for our children at a cost that we can afford. Closely related subject is economic development. So, if you live up in Burlington, things are rosy. They're great. Very low unemployment, high median wage, lots of buzz, lots of activity. But what we're seeing in the Chittenden County area masks the challenges that we're seeing across the state, and particularly here in southern Vermont. When you look at a battery of statistics around rooms and meals tax, et cetera, real estate transactions, southern Vermont has really struggled to recover from the Great Recession in the same way that Burlington and other urban communities have. So recognizing this challenge, myself and a number of other local leaders, as well as other legislators, we got together and made a commitment last year to really get some focus on this challenge. And we were able to introduce and get passed legislation that created something known as the Southern Vermont Economic Development Zone. So we actually, for the first time in the state of Vermont, actually created a special zone for Southern Vermont, gave it a designation, which opens the doors to, hopefully in the future, some federal funding, et cetera. But really puts a sharp focus around Southern Vermont as a region, and a region that really needs some attention from the state and the federal government. With that, there was a task force that was formed. Wayne Granquist of Weston was appointed the chair of that commission. They spent the summer and the fall preparing a comprehensive report outlining the challenges that we're facing, as well as some specific recommendations. They issued the report in December. They actually came before the House and Senate Economic Development Committees a couple of weeks ago up in Montpelier. I met with them, with Wayne and others, privately with the Speaker of the House to continue to press a sense of urgency around this issue. And I'm hopeful that we're going to see further action in terms of providing much needed resources for the Southern Vermont economy. So a couple other comments. Vermont Health Connect, I did not, this is one piece of legislation I did not vote for. I actually work in the IT industry, and it was very clear to me several years ago when this came about that Vermont did not have the capacity to manage such a large undertaking. And I don't want to say I told you so, but I think it's fair to say that it has not gone well. It has stabilized some, although after a period of some stability, I'm now getting a lot more calls for a variety of reasons from people who are having problems. So, a couple things. One, I was the lead sponsor, one of two lead sponsors actually, of some legislation that allows individuals who are not eligible for subsidies under the system to bypass it completely and direct enroll through Blue Cross Blue Shield, so you don't have to deal with Vermont Health Connect. If you personally are having challenges with Vermont Health Connect, or you know somebody who's having challenges, try not to bang your head against a brick wall more than 2 or 3 times. If you get to that third time, please call me. I'm here to help. I'm happy to help. I do it on a weekly basis, and it's part of my job. So, a couple other points. One, talk a little bit about school choice, very important for our region. When we look at the demographic issues facing our state, I look at our region and I look at school choice as something that has proven to be a real factor in terms of attracting and retaining young folks in our community. That said, school choice has been and continues to be under constant threat. It's something that needs and requires constant supervision and management in the Vermont legislature to ensure that some of these anti-school choice provisions do not pass. There were some specific anti-school provisions within Act 46 before it actually came into law that myself and a couple of my colleagues were successful in having extracted from the legislation as a condition for its approval. But one thing we should all keep in mind is that out of the 90,000 students or so that we have in Vermont, there's really only about 3,000 that enjoy school choice as we know it, and I'm talking real school choice. So it's a relatively small number, which makes it all the more vulnerable when we're dealing with many of my colleagues in the legislature who, for ideological reasons, would be very happy to see it go away. In fact, this session, there was a bill introduced, H200, which would provide for an outright ban of public funding of independent schools. And this is one of the most egregious examples of the legislation that we see, and amendments to legislation, oftentimes last-minute amendments that either directly or indirectly attack school choice. So very high on my radar. I will say, back to Act 46, there's a lot of misinformation around its impact on school choice. I can tell you categorically, within this area, your school boards are all committed to retaining, preserving school choice, and creating merger structures that allow for school choice to continue exactly as it is today. And strategically, in the long run, this is going to protect and preserve school choice and make these districts stronger. So a couple other things. So as I mentioned before, the Doyle survey I just handed out, if Senator Doyle is will soon be approaching his 50th year in the Vermont Senate. He's had this poll, has been in existence for close or over 40 years now, I think. So if you have an opportunity to complete that survey, and you can get it either back to me, or if you want to drop it off the town office, I'll pick it up at the end of the week from Beth. So final comment, I'm glad to see so many people turn out on town meeting day. Your local community, whether it's your school board, whether it's your town government, does not operate without the dedication and service of the volunteers who put in countless hours serving their community. So I just would ask that you thank everyone who's serving in public office here in the town of Winhall, and a special thanks to Beth, who's obviously tied up and busy, but is paying attention nonetheless. Special thanks to Beth and all the town clerks and volunteers who are assisting with the primary election, which, you know, as a voter, you go in, you put a check in the box. It sounds pretty straightforward, but when you have the job of sort of managing that whole process, collecting all the ballots, tallying them up, submitting the results, it makes for a very long day on top of what is already a long day with town meetings. So special thanks and recognition to Beth and her team. So with that, I will open it up to any questions you guys have. Yes?
Do you suppose some of the reason we're losing so many people and students in school is because of the big money we're sending for the school program? I mean, we're sending, what, $13 million to the state every year? I mean, really, that's what is making our taxes so high. It's not our local tax rate, it's the money we're sending up there. I mean, that's, a lot of kids can't afford to live in the state. They can't afford to buy a piece of property. Yes, exactly.
And this is the challenge we have as a state is we have every year for 20 years we've seen declining enrollment, yet every year we see increasing expense, and that, you know, just makes for a more painful tax rate year after year. It's a statewide funding mechanism. I'd love to be able to wave a magic wand and make that go away and go back to the way we did things, but there's a Supreme Court decision that says we're not going to be able to do that. So we're sort of forced to work with what we've got to work with, and as unfortunate as it is, yeah, we cannot no longer ignore the demographic realities that we're facing. That said, if you look over the past 20 years, although there's a statewide trend of declining enrollment, if you look over the past 20 years, the towns of Stratton and Winhall have actually seen some of the largest growth of student enrollment in the state.
I wonder why.
So.
I want to just throw a pitch in. I don't know how you can have any development in southern Vermont until you build some roads down here.
Well, you got to pave them first.
I've been talking to this guy in Montpelier for a couple of years about Route 30, right? I mean, they started in, they're going to reclaim it, so to speak. They started in, they were going to reclaim it in 15, and they were going to reclaim it in 16, and now we're up to 17. I would beg you to ask this guy to not go up to 18. I mean, it's got to the point where, I mean, these roads are ridiculous. I don't even know how the state guys can plow them. They're so bad.
And it's and if you think Route 30 is bad, you should, if you haven't already had the pleasure of driving 155 recently, that makes for that's economic development for a garage ball joints on a regular basis. So yeah, it's whether it's you know, the roads, infrastructure, et cetera. You know, this is, as a state, I spoke earlier about the challenges we're having with our tax base. We have a very fragile tax base. The pressure on our human services and education continue to exceed the underlying growth rate of the economy. So you end up with this. It's like an alligator's mouth. You know, you have, the growth of your underlying economy like this, and state spending going like this. And, that's just not a sustainable trend. So it requires a careful balancing act between trying to manage our costs down while not managing them so, down to the point where we are no longer plowing or maintaining our roads, and also investing in economic development, which is, it's a really tricky balancing act. Other questions? Nope. All right, great, thank you.
Guess you got off pretty easy.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Thank you, Oliver. And we also have the infamous Dr. Fox here. Come on up, Roger. Come on, over here.
I don't think I need to go.
You don't?
Can you hear me? I'm here to represent the Mountain Valley Health Center. I also brought Linda Bixler, our administrator. This has been a momentous year for the health center. This is the 40th year that I've come to tell you about the health center. And at last, the health center can no longer remain independent, and over the last year has joined a larger organization, Springfield Hospital and the Springfield Medical Care System. We're now a member of a federally qualified health center, which offers some protection from the difficult financial bind that primary care finds itself in, and hopefully will allow us to continue through the next 40 years, although I don't expect I will be here to see it. You have a notice in your warning from the board, and they once again ask you to support part of the unrecompensed care that we give to people from your town. That money, even though we're part of Springfield Hospital, will be kept separate so that it only is used for bills engendered by people in your town. I would be very pleased, and Linda would be very pleased to answer any questions that you have, or to hear any comments.
I think we ought to give Roger a big round of applause for his 40 years of service here. I didn't mean you're going to get away with any questions, but I still wanted to give you a big round. Does anyone have any questions for Roger? I guess not. Thanks, Roger.
I came for the cookie.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Roger.
Thank you.
Okay, so if there's no other business and no other comments to come before the school board, we will now recess the school board till 7 o'clock tonight.
Stuart, can I get the motion and the second on Article 8?
It's just discussion. It's just,
Okay.
yeah, I don't think, I didn't ask for a motion.
Okay.
Unknown. Okay, so we'll recess the school board meeting till 7 o'clock tonight. The ballots will be open till then. What are you going to give, about 10 minutes? Before we, so in about 20 minutes at 12, we're going to start the town meeting. So thank everyone for participating and being good about things. Thanks.
Okay, we're going to do the town portion of the town meeting. I'm going to ask if there's no objection from the body here. I'd like to, we have some other folks that are getting done this year from their public life, and before anybody else exits the building, we would like to do some presentations to those folks that have served you in the community. If I hear no objection, I would like to do that at this time, and I'm going to do it. Thank you. Who was Bell? Bell?
Yes.
Bell. I need you up here, please.
Yep.
Yes, as you well know, many of you probably saw, our illustrious leader was in the town report. The town report was dedicated to Bob, and after many years, Bob is stepping down. 17. Damn it, he beat me by a year. I'm going to have to rerun. Bill.
Yeah. Well, first I'd just like to say, for those of you that thought you might really miss Scott, it's only the school board that he's not on anymore. He's still the facilities manager, takes care of all the buildings, he takes care of the transfer station, he's our representative to Wyndham Solid Waste District. He wears a lot of hats, he's always around. You really can't and won't miss him. So don't get too remorseful about the job, but you did do a great job, Scott, thank you. And speaking of great jobs, Bob did as well, and he has served the last 9, and that was a little break in between. Then I guess he did, 7 after that, so we just have, we don't really do gold watches and things like that. but we usually do some kind of a certificate of appreciation, and so we'd like to present that to you. So
Retirement plan?
Bob asked if there was a retirement plan. Well, actually what it is your permanent consultant. We're going to need you on a regular basis on Wednesdays, the first and third Wednesday of each month. Stop right in. The rest of your retirement plan comes from your bride who's been working for the town for longer than you.
Yeah, right.
So you wanna
Yeah,
say
well,
a
just,
word?
yeah, I'm not as good a speaker as Scott, so I won't belabor this. You're right, you can't do this without the help of your spouse, for sure. And Nancy's been a big help. I just want to say that I've enjoyed working for the town, and unlike Scott, I'm going to miss it, for sure. I don't know if I'll miss the late night meetings, but I am going to miss it. And I'm mostly going to miss all the town employees. It's been a lot of fun for me to work with everybody, highway departments and police departments, and everybody says, well, I don't know this cop and I don't know that one, and I tell you, the way these guys come and go, a lot of them I don't know either, but it's been very enjoyable. That experience for me has been very enjoyable, and I think you reach a point where some of this, the little stuff gets hard to handle, and that's why I gave it up the first time, and I'm sort of at the point where I think that there's somebody else that can do this better than I can, and I want to be somewhere where it's a little warmer in the winter, so thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Marcel, we have a couple others. Well, let's see if he can do this without dropping it. Uh-oh, he almost did. Oh, no, he's enlisted help.
Would have been awkward to drop those.
Yeah.
Put him against the It's my privilege to call your attention to two individuals who are also sort of retiring from serving us in the capacity that they have for many, many years. I don't have the exact number of years, but I'd like you to join me in honoring two folks that have served our town in various capacities for a long time. And so we'll do ladies first. And I'd like to call everyone's attention to Kate Coleman, who has been with us as town treasurer for, I'm going to guess, in excess of 20 years. Excess of 30. That's a monumental feat all in itself. And I'd say, as town treasurer, this is a token of what it is that you deserve. And she has been very steady in handling the finances and keeping our money safe that you work hard to earn to pay in taxes. And everything is always sort of balanced out. And so thank you very much, Kate, for your service.
Thank you, Marcel. It's been my pleasure to work for the townspeople for the past 30-plus years. And other than that, all I'm going to say is I'm speechless.
The other individual, I'm sorry. Oh, right. Well, it's a family tradition, Stuart pointed out, that Kate came to us through the activities of her mom, Ina Coleman, who was town clerk for who knows how long, ever since I know her. Served the town in that capacity for many years, and probably her sort of interest in serving and doing what she did came from that division. So it's nice to know that we've got people here that have a long-term approach to helping us out and doing jobs for the town. So thanks again, Kate.
This next individual, his name is Jerry Driscoll. You all know him probably as the zoning administrator in the town of Win Hall. And he has, without question, served over 30 years. And the great thing about that is that in all the various things that come up having to do with zoning issues, I can't recollect any instance that he hasn't been able to figure out how to resolve whatever there was without it getting into a battle. And that's an art. Because when you think about it, over 30 years, to manage to do that job without creating some kind of commotion is not something that I don't think everybody could manage. Just think about your own affairs. I know I've had my share of stuff, and so Jerry, again, thank you for your service, for your interest, and for your dedication to helping us keep order. So thanks very much, Jerry.
Serving for 30 years plus, it's been an honor and a privilege. It's not very often that you get a chance to serve all the people that are around you in the town. Although there's probably been some times when it's been a real hassle, been a problem, one after another, after another, after another. But there's, I guess, a pleasure to be able to serve everybody and to bring things down to a fairly simple solution if we can. Like the rest of us that are retiring, I'm not looking for a warmer place. I'm just looking to go to sleep. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill and Marcel. Now, on to the business at hand. I would remind everybody, though, that this is a town business meeting, an annual meeting, and all I would ask is that everybody in the room, you treat each other with some decency and respect. Okay, Article 1, to elect all town officers as required by law, which is Australian ballot, which is going on in the back of the room. Article 2, shall the voters allow the select board to borrow up to $300,000 for a period of not more than 5 years to replace the bridge on Lower Taylor Hill Road? Can I have a motion to move the question to the floor? Dave Clayback, do I have a second? Steve Gagnon. Okay, discussion. Larry
Go
Wall.
ahead, Stuart. You
Stuart
may
Holman.
answer my question.
Somebody.
Yeah, we've got, I've been working on this since last year, just shortly after town meeting. It's been quite a experience working with state, etc. We had a big engineering study done on it before I came on, and one of the bridge companies I talked to went by that engineering study and gave us a price of around $300,000. Then we contacted the state again. They threw some different angles into it. Now it's up to $475. So, and I didn't get to, and I've been working on this for 12 months. So I'm not saying we're going to do it. This is about what it'll cost. This is not it will have to go up to bid one way or the other. This is a fairly solid price from an individual who builds concrete bridges. The state changed, or they didn't agree with what the engineering firm said, so we have to replace one of the bridge abutments, which raised the price dramatically. It made the bridge about 10 feet longer, which, when you're talking a precast cement bridge, raises the price dramatically. They have to bring in a 100-ton crane, et cetera, to do it. So that's where we stand. If anyone's got any questions, I'll try to answer them. I'm not saying I've got the answer for it, but...
Tammy Blanchard.
May I speak directly to her?
Sure.
Okay.
So,
I don't want to get in trouble.
originally
You're all
I
good.
heard that this was a temporary fix, but looking to this and what you just said, this is not a temporary fix to the bridge.
This is what I have gotten from a proposal from a bridge company in New Hampshire, is a concrete precast bridge. They would dig up the abutment on the lower Taylor Hill side, replace it entirely. We're able to use the one on your side of the bridge, of the river, and put a precast bridge on this. One piece, it's in.
So we are opening that entrance to the river by about 10 feet more.
It will only be 14 feet wide. Because if we were to make it bigger, we'd have to replace both abutments, which is going to raise another $150,000.
Steve.
I think what she actually meant, Stuart, is the bridge is going to get longer. So we're going to get maybe 10 feet longer, which will increase the width of the river back to more like its original width. Because it channels it down right now, the abutments that are there.
I don't think that they're going to take out the abutment, and they won't let us do street work. They're going to put an abutment, they're proposing, nothing's for sure until we vote on it. They're proposing to dig behind that abutment. If we go through the state, and then we have to go through the Corps of Engineers to work in the river. This would mean no work in the river. We were there with an engineer and the bridge guy, etc. And the problem is, it's all ledge right under that. So it's not really going to change the channel. The problem is, you're in a low spot compared to the river.
Right.
And unless we build a dike above there, but we know how dikes work in Louisiana, they could give us first-hand knowledge of that. That's what is headed for. So it wouldn't be moving the other above, it'd be going behind it.
So the
Leave it there for protection.
The river opening under the bridge stays the same.
Yeah.
Any concerns because the river is now in fact wider, especially up on the corner, on Kendall Farm Road, that it will be?
The state said that, they would love to change it, but they said unless you can move it back and straighten it out, etc., you can't do it. And gets into another hole.
So how long will we be able to use the $475,000 bridge? Any idea? What's the lifespan?
They expect it to be a 40 to 50 year bridge. They expect it to last a long time.
This does keep approach to the bridge the same, Stuart? Yeah.
Is that still going to be an issue?
It's only a one-way.
Unless we change it and go straight off from up above the curb and go across the river way up and come onto Kendall Farm Road, then we're still going to have the curb at the bottom and come back onto it. Now we're talking $1.5 million. And the state is no help at all, right? There's nothing in the pipeline. I mean, Melissa's always checking for money, trying to get them to kick some money. They like it when we send them, but they don't like to send us money back. That seems to be a common theme.
Debbie, you had your hand up, and I have everybody else had their hand up.
Have we approached constructing the intelligence since it's not severe for people coming down and trying to get off the mountain?
We have not. I don't think this would be a good year to approach it. I'm not sure this is the best time to approach it. Maybe we could wait till it's a little bit better, but whatever. No, I honestly have not. I've been focusing on trying to get a bona fide design and price. And whether we vote for it or not, I don't care. I've had a lot of people come to me and say, we'd like it open. I've had some people come and say, we don't want it open. Okay, I'm throwing it out there. This is what we're up against. I'm looking for some input. Well, I assume we're looking for input.
I don't know, are you now looking for the 475, are we looking for an amendment then?
Well,
Right now,
I'm just throwing this out so that we got something to talk about, okay? I mean, yes, we would have to amend it, but, I figured we might as well discuss it a little bit first. So,
Larry.
Yeah, Larry Ward. Is there any health, safety reason that you've heard from anybody that this bridge is absolutely mandatory?
the state is saying it is, how do they word it, structurally, the present bridge that's there, all right, the state has deemed to not be structurally sufficient, okay? They put a limit on it of 12,000 pounds, okay, 6 tons. The problem is, that was a number of years ago, that was what, back in 11? No, was it before the flood or after the flood? After the flood. So it's been 4 or 5 years since then. So it hasn't gotten any better. It's still carrying it well. They won't even let us open it at this point. They're saying,
My question, Stuart, was, is anybody making us build the new bridge, or is this something?
No.
So we don't have any outside forces?
other than townspeople that come today and say, we'd like to see the bridge. That's where I'm coming from.
Betsy?
I think I would be in favor if we can do it inexpensively, and I don't know if we went from 300 to 475, how inexpensive that
I feel
is.
bad about it.
I think it's important to have a second access off the mountain, that if you're up there and there's an accident or whatever, the clog at the bottom of the access road is really a mess, that having it, and my other question is, would you keep the road still one way when you did the bridge?
That would have to be determined at this point. I think Steve would like to say something about the fire department response to Lower Taylor Hill in the winter, because it's a tough road. Steve, you want to?
Yeah, well, years ago when this happened, I told Scotland I wouldn't take a big fire truck down there, it's slippery. So they basically don't have fire protection. I would go up it, but not down. So I wouldn't take a $600,000 fire truck down there and wreck it, because it definitely would have slippery.
Julie?
I would like to know if that bridge is, what weight limit that bridge, is that for any kind of truck going over it?
It probably will have a 50 to 60,000 pound weight limit to cover water trucks, etc.
But the thing that, I live on the road, and I've seen semis going up that road. So living on the road with no, I mean, we have a little town, and having semis go down the road, huge delivery trucks go down the road, and not to mention, every single one of you can drive down that road in the winter. I have had 7 cars parked out in front of my road, and I can't get out when it's a bad storm. It's not safe. It's safe for all of us, and it's convenient for all of us, but for the people who are looking at their GPS and they follow that road, I can tell you that this winter, I've only had to take 2 people back to their condos because they knocked on my door, stuck on the road. So, but typically, it's a dozen.
The problem is, we had signs that said no outlet except, now we put up a big sign. I don't know if that's made any difference.
A little, but apparently.
The problem is, some people just, they're looking at their GPS, and God forbid, if the road turns this way and the GPS shows this way, they're going that way. I mean, it's a problem, and I don't know how we're going to solve that. We put up as much signage as we could. The problem is, these guys, they got on their GPS, they said, if it's on there, it's got to be right.
And there are other ways to get off the mountain if you need to.
Did your hand up first?
Hi, just asking you, from living on the road, is it your preference to have that road open, or is it nice to not have the traffic?
I could live in a dream world. Each one of us would have a key card, and we could get down that road when we needed to, because you would know when you shouldn't drive down it, you know? But that's not a perfect world, and I can't figure out any way that, you know, I mean, the fire truck issue is obviously significant, but it's not safe. It's not safe. I live right around the curve, and so that's why I see a lot. I mean, we used to sit in lawn chairs on snowy days and watch people slide into ditches, because that's how bad it is. So I don't know who can believe that it's not possible. People, like you said, don't read the signs. I appreciate the 2 humongous your GPS is wrong signs, because I think they're brilliant. But we still watch people go down, turn around, and come back up.
As someone that deals with a lot of signs in my line of work, it is what it is. They'll read them if they want, and they won't if they don't want to. Bill?
Yeah, I just, the additional cost associated with it, and I'm not sure how high this is, but it has somewhat to do with, these cars sliding off the road. I mean, Stewart, towed cars for a gazillion years. That was a significant spot where the town couldn't maintain sanding access. People shooting down the mountain would just shred whatever salt and sand was put on the road would go off. And in the last few years when it's been closed, again, I don't have the figures, but I'm sure it's a significant less amount of sand and salt has been needed on that road. And as well, we're hearing a few cars, and I actually got a video. Bob Sheridan lives at the very end of that road and sent me a little video showing 4 cars turning around and going back. Well, turning around and going back is a lot better than, we had, when we first talked about closing it, we had people living on the road come in and bring us photos of, cars in accidents, twisted up, sideways, stuck all over the road, so they can't get in and out of their driveway. So I'm just thinking, there's a number of associated services that go with reopening that up again, besides just the cost. So just, so you understand, the sand, the police services, the hopefully not fire services, but I doubt that we're even patrolling that as much anymore because it's not a straight through anymore. You have to go down and turn around. But the accidents aren't happening. We used to have a significant number of accidents and it would tie up resources that were needed in other places. So, personally, I'm not sure that's the best thing, opening up again, but it's not my call. I'm not sure that we can do it at 475. 300 sounded great. 475 sounds great. We did a study years ago. It was $1.2 million to do it properly. So we were waiting for grant funding, but Stewart has done a lot of investigation over the last year, and finds a good answer and gets his head beat up and finds a good answer. So I'm just a little concerned about that. We haven't even increased it to the 475. Just so you understand, this isn't to open the road. It kind of is. This is more like Stewart saying, can I go forward, or can we, as a board, or whoever the board is, can we go forward and try to work within this number that you'd be authorizing. It's not an actual, this is opening, this summer.
Jen?
I mean, from what I've heard, we don't need that bridge there. But I'm not really hearing anyone say that they want the bridge there. So I would love to know, what the benefits would be of having the bridge rebuilt and the road reopened.
Well, I've had a lot of people, excuse me, stop, nice big story. I've had a lot of people come to me and say, gee, are we going to open the bridge? Nobody's speaking up now, but I've had a lot of people talk about it.
And they're Whitehall residents?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
I had Bobby Sheridan, like I said, he sent me that note, he sent me the video.
I got other people with their hands up, Bill. No, you're not answering. Dave?
I was on the board before, we discussed this quite a lot about how to keep it sanded late in the afternoon when most of the problems develop on the road. What they came up with is that the road commissioner or road foreman at the time thought we should probably pave it and make it so that the sand or the salt, whatever is put on it, will react very close to the same as it happens on Route 30. The other thing is that I'd like to like the bridge open because I've had to take a ride in the rescue squad a couple times in my life, and I hate to live up on the mountain and have a busy weekend and have to try to get out all that time. So it's almost a safety gap where who's ever going to get off that mountain in a hurry. If it's at least been foggy or a little bit of snow in the air, they will not fly a helicopter into the track. So if that's another thing that they should, the select board should discuss when they get together on trying to straighten this road out. Thank you.
Beth.
Oh, it was Alexander that had his hand up, sorry.
Well, one of you.
I would be one of the people that asked Stuart about it, and I live up on the mountain. The other night, there was an accident down at the very last corner right by 7-Eleven, and the road was blocked. So, like Dave said, if someone had to get off the mountain, how's that gonna happen? I'd like to see the bridge open, and I was down there the other day to drop one of my friends off who lives at the bottom, coming up out of there. It sucks. It's icy. And if you're coming up and another car is coming down, I think that creates more of an issue than just a one-way.
Marcel?
I'm in favor of opening up the bridge, and I would like to amend the motion to increase the sum of money from $300,000 to $475,000 to make it possible to proceed with the intent of the motion as it was written.
Okay, so we have Marcel proposing an amendment for $300,000 to, and there we go. Jerry is going to second that. Jerry Driscoll. Discussion. Barb's got her hand up first, Bob.
I agree that the road should be open for all of those things. The largest problem we have is the winter. Now, I don't know, I would have to ask at this point, is it legal for the town to have that road open and say it's a one-way road, no traffic, unless a rescue or a fire or another emergency comes along that our local department can block the road to make it temporarily one way the other way. Because the fire department and the rescue squad need to go up as much as they need to come down. And not that it's a safe way to get down in a hurry for a lot of reasons, but we have to be able to access those people and others because as it was already brought up, it's our own malfunction junction in a good winter at the end of the ski day at the bottom where the mountain road meets Route 30. So if I had my druthers, I'd move it down the road, straighten the road, make it better, but we don't have that kind of money. But I personally think opening it up with some parameters that say general traffic, it's not open on your GPS, folks. If you want to keep those signs up there, fine. But make it a usable road.
Bob?
You know, we've been talking about this forever, about this road. Select board's been talking about it, and I actually support Stu. I mean, he's put a lot of work into it. I support all the work he's done. I don't support opening the road, because and I'll tell you why. If you spend $500,000 or $700,000 on a bridge, that's fine. You need to spend $1 million on the road. The road is so bad that you can't maintain it. I don't care what Dave says. We can sand it, and an hour later that sand's gone because those guys are traveling down that road 30, 40 miles an hour. You can't keep sand on a dirt road at 30, 40 miles an hour. Now, if you pave it, then you're going to open it up. They're going to be going down the road 40 or 50 miles an hour. We know that. There just is not an answer. Now, I'll throw something out, and everybody can hiss and boo, but we've talked about this, and Barb was saying it's our own malfunction junction. There's enough room at the bottom of Route 30 to put in a rotary. If we're going to spend $500,000 on a bridge, why don't we spend $2 million, see if we can get Stratton to help us, and put in a rotary? There's room enough to do it. I propose it. Every time I propose it, I get shot down on it. I know Marcel's over there shaking his head. He doesn't like it. They didn't like it in Manchester either, folks. But damn if it don't work. And it would work at the bottom of that, at the access road. And that's the problem. The problem, nobody wants this road open only because they selfishly want to be able to get off the mountain and not get into traffic. So we need to figure out a way to get the traffic off the mountain and through the village. Well, they figured it out in Manchester. I honestly believe we could figure it out in Wenham. But I don't have 10 years to do it. It took me 10 years to get the town hall built. But if we're thinking ahead, if we're a forward-thinking town, we could start thinking now about building a road.
Andy?
Scott, I'm absolutely in favor of opening the road, yet I do understand the treacherousness of the road, especially on 30 days a year perhaps. How come they couldn't put a gate top that is totally and only police controlled, so that in a bad, that road's not passable, they close that thing off and nobody can get on.
Those would be all legal questions that you
Well, first we have homeowners that live there, so they would need their access, and however that, you can't close it right off.
Key card.
Well, the key card issue has come up in the past, it's been, like Bob said, discussed for a long time. The other thing with that road versus the rotary, and, it's not for nothing to me so much, but, Vaughnville's maybe theoretically becoming vibrant again. There's a few people who have invested quite a bit of money in buildings in town, and it seems like, maybe, my mouth to God's ears, it's sort of coming back a little bit. That's clearly just a skirt down to Manchester, for most people. It's a way to quickly get off the mountain and not go through and see, the new wine shop or, whatever else. Yeah, most of real estate. But, there are a number of other things, and, the Rotary would actually keep people going through town. We've got ski shops, we've got, a number of other people who have invested money in the town itself in Vaughnville, and it just seems a little bit like, Bob's answer to me has always made sense. I've always supported it, that, getting that traffic off the mountain, but getting it to flow through town, with the Rotary. It kind of makes sense to me.
Dave?
Scott, if a Rotary just a lot of
Hey, I said Dave.
I'm sorry.
Not Andy. Dave.
There are other steep roads in the town of Winhall that they seem to keep the sand on it. I happen to travel quite a lot, so I would think that something could be done temporarily until the town has got some money behind it to improve the road. But I also think that too, if we do a lot of work on the roads, it's going to take Vermont scene out of the thing. It'll be more of a throughway down through rather than a country road. But you do have a full-time police department. They could watch it a little bit more. There could probably be more signs, more light signs put up that are run by our son when it comes up. So there are other ways to do it and not really change the scenic part of that road.
Johnny.
Sorry, two more questions. Is it possible that you could put a sign up at the road that says authorized vehicles only, $250 fine, and then something in that spirit, so that it would allow the police, rescue, and private homeowners access to the road, but close it off to the general public? And then my second question is, in the bridge's current condition, can rescue vehicles safely cross it, or is it a completely non-functional bridge at this point? Okay.
Sorry, Scott, I apologize.
What?
I answered the question, bro.
So Andy, do you want to say something now?
The Rotary thing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
If you have an accident between Lower Taylor Hill and the Rotary, the road closes anyway, so the Rotary doesn't help in that situation.
I need to back up a little bit. Did you have a question?
Well, my first question was, could we block the road off so that it's only open to rescue vehicles and homeowners, and
it all remains. I think if you were going to do anything that incorporated blocking the road off or limited access, the first thing you'd have to do, regardless, is you'd have to put forth some kind of study effort. There are a lot of things there to consider. How would you do it? How would it work? Is it possible? I can tell you again, signs, nobody reads signs, but it might be. But I think the factor is that on this article, they're asking strictly about replacing, the bridge. There are a lot of other things that will come into play along with that, and those are things that probably at some point need to be fleshed out. But I think that also it requires a bit more study as to what can you legally do and what makes the most sense. Isaiah?
Yeah, Stuart mentioned that the bridge was approved for 11,000 pounds.
No, he said 12.
12,000 pounds.
Which is 6 ton.
I know that all my vehicles are less than that, so is it possible to open it for just commuter traffic right now?
Well, as Stuart mentioned though, was that not a while ago that was and we don't currently know if the bridge is deteriorated further, so we don't know if that limit actually holds up. But let Stuart, I mean, he's the guru, not me.
I've been called worse than that. But, the state won't even come back and inspect it. They say, we've deemed it insufficient, and they won't inspect it. They say, hire a private engineer to determine, and then they're gonna, then when they give us some figures after we paid somebody, then they'll send her in, oh, no, we don't agree with that. So at this point, it's closed, okay? It was closed at that time because it was deemed the best choice to do. That's fine. It's closed at this point. We can't reopen it without going through a lot of hoops, and I don't think we can get through those hoops at this time.
Hang on, Bob. Just so you know, if you put your hand up and I make eye contact with you, then I've got your name wrote down on the list, so you don't have to tire yourselves out. Bob, you had your hand up.
The reason that we closed it, it wasn't, at the time we said, well, it could still take automobile traffic, but we knew that somebody's going to go down there with an oil truck or some, a lumber delivery truck or whatever, or, they're going to go across it. I don't care what the hell the sign says, it's just like we're talking about signs. So that's the reason we closed it, is because we felt the town had a liability. If somebody went through that bridge, then we're liable, and that's the reason we closed it.
Larry?
Did the town receive any insurance reimbursement from the damage?
It had nothing to do.
It didn't qualify.
Didn't hurt the bridge.
Hang on.
This storm didn't hurt the bridge.
We need
I thought it was a storm.
Let's have a real clarification on that, because some people may not realize that the storm had no bearing on this bridge being closed down.
Okay.
Is that correct?
The bridge was not damaged or is not damaged in any way from the flood of 2011. It is just structurally insufficient for today's standards with what there is there and what the state expects. It has nothing to do with flood. It's just time ran out on its life expectancy is what happened.
Is it my understanding, Stuart, that the state, regardless of whether the bridge is on a state road or on a town road, they're in charge of bridges as far as deeming them safe or correct?
They do an inspection until they deem it unsafe,
Okay.
then they take it off their list.
Okay, Isaiah,
Case is closed with that.
you had your hand up again.
Well, I was just curious how much it might cost to investigate that further, if it could be used for passenger vehicles, because right now, $450,000 is at stake for somebody to drive a car across it. And as for the fuel trucks, these people go to school and they're trained to observe the signs, they're not average people.
Okay,
There's signs that they obey all over the roads, and this would be no different. So if it saved the taxpayers, several hundreds of thousands of dollars, if it was just a few $100s or a few $1,000s to investigate, that maybe we could use the bridge as it is. If it's not in shambles, certainly I want to use it, but maybe that's not the case. So if it was, possible to save hundreds of thousands of dollars to investigate it, maybe we should go that route and investigate it.
Stuart?
I have literally towed tour buses off from that bridge. Literally, big tour buses that have gone down there, not with the last sign we got, but then I'm out of towing business too. So I don't know how many I'm now. At this point, we'd have to hire a structural engineer, and they would have to assess it. They would probably have lower than the 12,000 pounds that the state last put on it, because the state has since, they wiped their hands. They said it's structurally insufficient, okay? So I got a feeling it would be lowered even more. The problem is we get into the situation, well, I thought my truck was light enough, the bridge is good enough, I can go across it. It's closed, we gotta deal with it one way or the other. Either we vote to fix it, or we vote not to fix it. I don't care. I've spent a year on this. I'll spend more time on it if we vote to have it done. If we vote to not do it, fine. I'll free up and do something else. I got lots of other projects on my plate.
It can still stay a project.
It's still a project, but it's just, you know, I know it's a lot of money, but I told people that we would at least investigate it. I've investigated to the best of my ability. I don't think that the state is going to allow us to open it in its present condition.
But I want to say something here for a second. All you folks that are having your little side conversations, I know you think you're quiet enough that nobody can hear you. I can hear every one of them. It's a little distracting. For me anyways, trying to pay attention. So if we could keep that to a minimum, that'd be great. Larry, you had your hand up. Betsy, I have you next, and Bob.
I'd like to move the question, please.
Second that. I'll second if that's what I was going to say.
Okay. Everybody calm down. So Larry Wohler moved the question, and Betsy said John seconded it, or Mr. Schwartz, take your pick, Baker's choice.
Now, are we talking about the amendment?
Talking about the warning.
Well, we have,
Well, I was wondering if he had a second to his motion.
He did.
He did, okay, so.
He did, so we were discussing.
All right.
So first off, we're going to take a vote to move the question so everyone understands. You can't just move it, you have to take a vote on that. So all those in favor of moving the question signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, now we're going to vote on Article 2, which has been amended. And the article read as such. Shall the voters allow the select board to borrow up to $475,000 for a period of not more than 5 years to replace the bridge on Lower Taylor Hill Road? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
I'm going to call for a division of the House, just because, I mean, it seemed kind of overwhelming to me, but I want to make sure we do our due process here. So what I'm going to have you do we have a couple of your folks here, JDs?
Yeah, I have Tim Addis, Ray Guttroff is here.
So Tim, why don't you come over on this side for me, please, if you would? And what we'll do is I'll have everyone that said that's in favor, raise your hands. So raise your hands if you're in favor of it and count. Ray, you're supposed to be counting, sorry.
No, sorry. Doing my job.
Sorry about that.
You guys are okay?
Yeah, you're good on this side.
This side, you can put her in.
26. At 27.
27 for your side? Okay, all those opposed, raise your hands.
I guess 9.
Calculator. You know? Okay, so what we have are the ayes at 37 and the noes at 24. So the ayes have it and the motion carries. Article 3. Careful with the side comments. Well, they have to single you out. Article 3. Shall the voters appropriate the sum of $750 to the Collaborative for the support of its substance-free events and educational programs for middle and high school youth. Do I have a motion to move the question? Marty Nadler, do I have a second? Christy Blaylock. Oh, I almost forgot. All right, discussion on this? Is there any discussion, any questions, queries, anything? Because I won't wait long. Seeing none, we'll vote it. Shall the voters appropriate the sum of $750 to the Collaborative for the support of its substance-free events and educational programs for middle and high school youth? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Hearing no opposed, the ayes have it. Article 4. Shall the voters appropriate the sum of $4,200 to the Partnership, a regional public-private initiative for economic development and destination marketing? Motion to move the question? Somebody, throw a hand up. Matt Samuelson and seconded by Marcel Gisquet. Discussion? Questions? Chrissy?
From what I understand, that this is what is going to be what the Manchester and Mountain Communities Chamber of Commerce is going to be in July. And from what I've understood from it, they don't really have any tangible goals for, like, they don't have any real manageable measurements to what their goals are going to be, and I just don't see a lot of benefit coming from our town.
Hold on.
Somebody's going to speak to this.
I got a like a technical problem going on. Would you like to speak?
Well, my name is Wilbur Rice, and I'm a
See,
resident here.
I was right.
I was looking at the wrong guy.
I'm a resident of Manchester, but I'm a chamber member, and I was asked by the select board to be available to answer questions on this issue. This is, the effect that this is going to have on your taxes is 57 cents if you have a $100,000 value home. Your additional taxes would be 57 cents. It's a very small amount. The partnership is an extension of the chamber. The chamber has been basically weakened heavily by changes in the healthcare law and no longer have group health coverage, which was a big feature of the chamber members, and that's gone. So we've gone from 620 members to 350 members, which is tough to make ends meet. We have a new facility in which we're serving a ton of more people. The new building, which has occupancy costs of about $57,000, is giving us the ability to service over 13,000 inquiries in person, compared to about 1,100 a year in our old location. We're also getting a lot more activity on our website, over 20,000 hits per month. And we're doing very well, but we need help. Between the occupancy and the staffing, there's only $40,000 left to do marketing. So the board convened a planning process about a year ago to determine what to do about the chamber. And a lot of people felt it was very important to have a chamber. Matter of fact, I think it is very related to the headlines that were in the newspaper about a month ago about the economic development issue in this area. Economic report, urgent action required. The chamber is one of 4 chambers that are basically in this 2 southern counties that are so weak compared to the rest of the state. We're not back to 2007 levels of taxation and traffic levels. I shouldn't say taxation, tax income. And the rest of the state is moving very nicely forward, and especially Addison and Chittenden counties, which is Burlington and Middleborough. We need help in the chamber, so we're doing this public-private partnership, and we're looking for $75,000 between the 18 towns. Manchester being the lead town with $33,000. I think no, $25,000, pardon me. The lowest tax rate of all of the towns that we're asking for is this town at 57 cents for a $100,000 valuation. We do have goals. We have done a lot of work that was led by Seth Baumgartz and his crew at the Kildene. There were many surveys and meetings to talk about what's needed. Basically, we're focusing on 2 things. Destination marketing, meaning spending money to get people here. And this year, you can certainly see that we need some help doing that. And the other part of it is economic development. We need to make this a place where people want to start businesses. And that's the work, and I encourage you to reach out to the chamber, AKA the partnership, I call it the chamber on steroids, to find out what their goals are and such. There's been a lot of work in this. This is very important. This is an investment in our community, and I'm addressing this to you, and we're addressing this to all 18 communities today, and did it on Saturday also, and I can answer any questions.
Oh, Marty.
Yep. A good friend of mine was the chair of the Chamber of Commerce that was centered in Londonderry, and it served the Londonderry, Manchester, Weston, Peru area. And the reason that chamber was formed was because the Manchester and the Mountains Chamber did not serve these communities. So, and that chamber closed because the insurance, the changes in the insurance law made that chamber not viable in terms of income. So I'm curious that this chamber, which is really centered in Manchester, or this new name of this chamber, what will be different with this chamber that it will branch out and spread out and serve these mountain communities any differently than the old Manchester and the Mountains community chambers serve these communities?
I can
Would you like to answer that?
Yes, it's basically based on dollars, and the chamber, as it presently stands, doesn't have the income in the same fashion. Your Londonderry chamber went out of business when the insurance program stopped, the group insurance availability. We need more money to do the job, and we need to do it all together. One of the things that can't happen is Manchester doing it on its own. It needs to be part of the whole 18 communities together to make this effective. And if anybody in this group wants to get involved in it, we are definitely looking for volunteers to be part of this partnership program. But it's an important investment, and I think it's highlighted by this economic development that's been done recently, chaired by Wayne Rehnquist, that showed that we have really serious problems here. And I think everybody can see from this year that those are even more exasperated by the weather conditions. We need to stabilize our economy. It's good for everybody. It's not just a business issue, it's a public issue. And that's why we're doing a public-private partnership.
Chrissy.
How many businesses are partners, are paying their dues for the Manchester and Mountain community?
There are 350 members, and then in addition, in this community, I don't know the number, but there are 350 in all, and then there are about 10 lead players that have already committed to an $80,000 startup fund to start.
But the ones who are currently paying to be in the chamber at this point are.
There are 350 paying members of the chamber now, yes. And one of the things we are doing, a goal, just to your point earlier, is we have to increase that. That's one of our primary goals, is to get it back to a viable level.
You guys have got your own little privatization conversation going on there, so the rest of us can hear what you're saying. And also, I'll give you a follow-up question, Chrissy, but then I do have other folks that got their hands up.
Sorry about that. I was just asking how they intend to measure the goals.
Well, for example, with a membership, we're going to measure it by how many more members we can get above the 350. It's critical that we do that in order to get the funding necessary to make this work. And that's a very real, easy thing to gauge how many members you can sign up. All of the board members, and there are 24 board members, are all assigned candidates, so to speak, people that were board members, chamber members, or are not chamber members, and go see them and try to sign them up.
Barb.
Wilbur, in a sense, is echoing what Oliver said earlier. The chamber, basically, if I'm not mistaken, is made up of business owners. You don't have to be a business owner to be a member of the chamber, but in a sense, as a community, we need to pull together. This is not something that we're giving them money every year. It's not.
Oh, yes, it is.
If we vote to do this, we can vote to give them that much money this year.
Once you approve, excuse me, once you approve this article, it's in our donation, it's on our donation list. So
could not be amended to be a one-time?
That's not the way we've ever handled it. I'm not sure if it can be or not, Barb, but
Okay, well-
once, it's a donation and it would be a yearly, I mean, I guess next
You
year.
could strike it next year.
Yeah, I mean, next year you could take it out, but typically that's not what
It would be in there, it
happens.
wouldn't be an article.
My basic point here, then, to shorten this up, is that as a community, we want to see more viability. We want to see more jobs. We want to see the economy increase. The chamber's function in what they're requesting is trying to do just that. And if we don't support them with this stipend, whether we give it to them again next year or not, we are slapping ourselves in the face. We're not helping to bring in more business or make the businesses that we have better income by getting the people to come here. Let's face it, it's Manchester in the mountains. We got the mountains that they want to come to. They've got the stores, but we've got the mountains.
Matt?
I just echo Barb's point as well, for a couple of reasons. I don't know if anyone has seen what Seth Bongartz has done with Hildene, Seth and the board have done with Hildene, but they've really turned it around and made it into a much more viable enterprise than it has been. And it's impressive, it's very impressive. So if Seth is involved with this, I would expect a similar level of inspiration and output. But, you know, as a bunch of us in this room know, and me in particular, as a real estate attorney dealing with a lot of second homeowners that buy homes here in Stratton and Jamaica, they love the mountains, but we need to unify as a community because they also love going into Manchester. And so to the extent that we all can come together and help the broader community flourish, it benefits everyone. And it's a pretty small amount of money. I mean, this is really not a whole lot to impact your pocketbook. So I would definitely support this.
Go ahead in the back.
Okay, so I agree that it's important to have destination marketing, but I don't think doing it out of Manchester is the right way for Winhall to benefit. You know, we want them to come here to Winhall, to Bonneville, and build up our town and our businesses. I'm not sure that money would not be better spent at the collaborative, you know, for things for us to do and to bring people to Bonneville and not down to Manchester to Shaw's and businesses there.
Me?
Yep, sorry.
My question is, I heard 50-some cents per 100,000. Is that once and done 100,000, or is that for every 100,000 of your assessment?
If you had a house that was assessed at $300,000, this would cost you $1.71.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm in the marketing business for a career as one of the odd businesses in Bonneville. But I've been involved with the chamber, and I've been involved with marketing, and I've been doing it for 25 years here. And Bonneville can't do it by itself. That's insane. We're 620 people or something, however many we are. We are a region with Manchester. I think what Barb said is true. And the other issue for me is that our wonderful state of Vermont doesn't spend a reasonable amount of money on marketing when a big industry here is tourism. So, you know, if we can help ourselves with Manchester and Peru and Weston and all the wonderful towns around here, I think we should do it.
Bill?
I just wanted to clarify again. I think maybe you heard it all, or Wilbur just said it, but you know, we talked a little while ago about educating our children for a $300,000 house would be $45 per person on a $300,000 assessment. And here we're talking about educating, hopefully, you know, a large segment of the world to come and enjoy Vermont in our area. And we're talking about $1.75 on that same $300,000. So, you know, I mean, I'm in support of it for $1.75. If we don't like it, you know, it will be in our, just to be clear, it would just be a budget line item. It would have to be stricken if we're unhappy with it next year, because it won't have to come back as an article next year, but, $1.75 on 300,000. We just spent 45 bucks on 300,000. Most of which is going to the state.
I'd like to move the question.
A second. Tim Apps moves the question, Larry Wooler seconded it. All those in favor of moving the question, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. We will now vote the article. Shall the board appropriate the sum of $4,200 to the partnership, a regional public-private initiative for economic development and destination marketing? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The article passes. Article 5. Shall the town approve the budget proposed by the Winhall Select Board as presented in the 2015 town report? Do I have a motion to move the question? Come on. Dave Clayback.
Make the motion. You don't want to move the question yet.
Yeah, you got to move it to the floor in order to discuss it. That's how you're actually
I thought you had to ask for motion.
No, so the way it's supposed to work is you have to move the question to the floor and then it opens for discussion.
I'd second Dave's move.
Yeah, whatever there. Dave motioned and Larry Wooler seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, discussion. On Article 5. Shall the town approve the budget proposed by the Winhall Select Board as presented in the 2015 town report? Anybody, any questions, comments, thought bubbles, anything? Because I won't wait too long. Lunchtime is coming. Yes, Bill?
Just so you know, we don't have to amend the budget because these two items were incorporated into that. They're in the budget right now. The two items we just approved. Well, the 300,000 is the borrow. The other two items are the 475 is the borrow. But the other two items are already listed in the reported budget.
Yeah, we got you. We read your beats. Those two items are already in the budget. They're not added in later on. Anything? Nothing? Fine. Shall the town approve the budget proposed by the Winhall Select Board as presented in the 2015 town report? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Beautiful. Article 5 carries. Article 6, to transact any other business that may legally come before the meeting. Anybody has some other business? Stuart does.
I'd like to thank the fire department and the police department for being there 24 hours a day. The worst weather there is. And going to the houses if people don't open their dampers, go to the fire fireplace. And not changing their smoke detector batteries, not changing their CO2 batteries, etc. But these guys are out there all the time, and we vote to support them with the equipment we need. I'd just like to give both departments a round of applause.
Anything else?
To add to
Yeah, I can't even think of your name.
Scott. I just need to say, if your 911 number is not clearly posted, please make sure it is, because these guys do struggle, and I do call in and tell them where to go, but it would just be easier if your sign was clearly marked.
And a reflective sign.
Perfect.
Not an cursive sign that you can't read unless
Yeah, I had that problem.
I just want to say that we all owe a tremendous debt of gratitude to Laura Giannotti.
Yes.
Town hall that sat there empty for years and got inspired to start. I've always said this was like a bedroom community for Stratton and it didn't have any soul. And I feel like now we have a soul. We have a place where the kids are going after school. I'm drawing at night. I love it. There's Zumba and yoga and you name it. And it all came out of her head and I am personally grateful, but we should all be grateful and take advantage of it. It's terrific there.
I'd like to thank Deb for stealing my thunder, because I was gonna say something about that, but you know what? You've all listened to me long enough. There's one group of people I would like to thank, and you know, I haven't really been moderator long, but I've run my mouth at that table for 16 years. And the one group of people that should be thanked, and you should know it, is every single voter that sits in this room. Because it's your input, it's your direction on how this town goes and how we function as a town and a community. For those of you that take the time every year to come out here and listen to us drone on, I appreciate it, because it is your choice. If you just sit back and you don't do anything. So on that, if there's no other business, I'll make a motion that we get some lunch.
I second that.
Second that. All in favor?